So welcome to part 2 of chapter 1. Presumably you've completed the questions after part 1 and we'll go on to part 2. There will be questions that follow part 2 as well. And this will conclude your assignments or your work for week 1 of BA647. The marketing mix is the toolbox that marketers use to achieve their ends. And the toolbox is those 4 P's that we've already talked about. When choosing the 4 P's, how to implement the 4 P's, we have to make sure that we're going to be consistent with what we're trying to achieve. So first of all, you have to know what you're going to do and how you're going to get there, what you want to do and how you're going to get there. Once you've done that, then you can decide how we're going to use the tools in the marketing mix to achieve those goals and strategies. One of the strategies that you won't see specifically listed in the 4 Ps is to use alliances with other organizations, and those may be suppliers, they may be customers, or they may be competitors or other people in the industry who you may choose to work with to successfully implement your strategy. So the 4 Ps we've already talked about: product, price, promotion, and place. Place being the logistics P. Then we're going to go into depth on each one. So marketers consider the product not just to be a product, a thing, either tangible or intangible, but they think of products, whatever they may be, as something that satisfies a need. So if you have a consumer need, whatever that need might be, your product is built and or delivered to satisfy that need. The products can be tangible, things you can touch, and they can be consumer goods, which is really defined as an end user good, so the consumer purchases the product and then uses it, or industrial goods, which are goods that may be purchased by a business but then used to create something else. So business-to-business goods are considered to be industrial goods, and business-to-consumer goods are considered to be consumer goods. Intangible goods, things that you can't touch, accounting services, legal services, things like that, those are professional services. Education is an intangible good, and financial services are intangible goods, things you can't touch but that have a need satisfying portion. Second P, pricing. Pricing is an important part. It's one of the easiest things to do, but also one of the hardest to figure out what you want to do. The first piece of pricing that I always like to talk about is, how does the customer perceive your pricing? Do they perceive it as fair? Do they perceive it as expensive? Do they perceive it as a good value? Very important to understand customer perceptions of pricing. And customer perceptions vary from customer to customer, and they certainly vary from business customers to consumers. Business customers are often more price driven than consumers are, because they tend to be somewhat more rational. They're looking at marketplaces and deciding what they need based on some kind of a metric. Pricing also has a lot to do with positioning. If you're a marketer of luxury goods, you may choose to price your goods high in order to position them as luxury goods. If you have a luxury good and you price it low, the consumer may not perceive it as a luxury good or a status good. So pricing sometimes can be a way to position your product. You want to put your product out there as either a value product or as a status product, and how you price it may help the consumer or influence what the consumer thinks about the product. Obviously, product costs have a lot to do with pricing. If you can't sell a product for less than it costs to produce, or you can do it, but you can't do it for very long. If you're selling it at less than your cost of production, you probably won't be there for very long or be capable of doing that for very long. You may choose to do it short term as a pricing strategy to gain market share or something like that. What your competitors do has a lot to do with pricing. Picking any product, whether it's a status product or a value product, consumers may be willing to pay for status, but there's a limit to what they'll pay. Consumers in value products often are looking for the best value, and value is sometimes perceived in price. So competitive forces have a lot to do with what you set your price at. And then what are you trying to achieve as an organization? Are you trying to achieve high market share? Are you trying to achieve a high return on investment? What kind of things are you trying to achieve with your within your organization? And that will help determine where you go with pricing. Place. This is the logistics piece of marketing, and a very, very important piece. How, when, and where to make your goods available to consumers. And what we call those pathways to the consumer, we call them channels. So distribution channels can be everything from retailers to wholesalers to fully integrated distribution systems where you control, you don't use a third party, you actually control either the retailer or the wholesaler, or you sell direct through the internet. So lots of different possibilities for channel partners. We'll go into that in depth a little later. And then how are we going to deliver? What kinds of ways do we need to deliver? And if we have products that require certain kinds of delivery, we may need to choose our channels for that delivery. So if you think about automobiles, the normal channels for automobiles are from the manufacturer to a dealer. The dealer then delivers the car to the consumer and also delivers the aftermarket service to the consumer. Automobile companies have considered it important to have that service provider be the person who's delivering the car. Currently, Tesla is looking to upend that by having company-owned retail showrooms and then provide service from a centralized location. So somebody's looking at changing a channel in a marketplace that has had pretty standardized channels for a long time. Even within the channels in cars, channel choices in cars currently, forgetting the Tesla example, some car companies choose to have lots of dealers, and some car companies choose to have few dealers. So in the state of Maine, if you want to buy a Mercedes, there are only 3 or 4 dealers in the whole state. If you want to buy a Chevrolet, there are dozens of dealers in the whole state. So car companies have different strategies for a number of dealers, even though they're all using a dealer model at this point in time. And then the final P is the one that most people think of when they think of marketing, and that's the promotion D. That's the communication piece. So that includes some of the following: advertising, which I think are all familiar with. Advertising from a marketing standpoint is paid communication. So when you see an advertisement, it is something that someone has paid for to communicate with you, the consumer. Public relations is defined as unpaid communication. So if you read an article about a company or a product in a magazine, let's say, that's a public relations type of promotion. So the company made the information available. The news outlet chose to write a story about it and publicize it. Apple has always been extremely effective in using PR for their products. They hype their products, and then magazines write about them without them ever having to pay for that advertising. A sales promotion, that's primarily direct direct action kinds of things. So sales promotion, everything on sale today, 20% off. Buy one, get one free. Here's a coupon for so much off on your next purchase of such and such an item. These are things that are designed to make people act. So they might have been thinking about acquiring a product, and here's a reason to do it now. Personal selling, face-to-face selling is something that's used a lot in business to business, not quite so much in business to consumer, though it does take place in business to consumer selling as well. Direct marketing, marketing directly to your consumer. This would be mail order, direct mail advertising, some of the things you see on late night TV, you know, where they're demonstrating some new product and you get this free and you get that free, and if you buy one now, you'll get two more later, and that sort of thing. That's direct marketing. And then social media has become a huge part of promotion, both paid social media and unpaid social media has become a way to communicate all sorts of things that that maybe some of the other older forms of marketing aren't as effective at anymore. So all sorts of kinds of promotion. So your marketing mix sort of looks like this. You decide what your product offering is going to be, features, benefits, quality, packaging, all of those things, warranties. Those are all product offering kinds of things. Then you decide on price. You might have a list price, and you might offer discounts. You might offer payment terms, so buy now and pay over 6 months with no interest, or over 6 years with no interest in some cases. You may offer a special introductory price, and you may offer will not be undersold. So if you buy it from me and somebody else offers it cheaper, we'll match that price. All those things are pricing issues. The channels, you're looking at how much coverage you have, what kind of assortments, where your locations are going to be, how much inventory your channels are going to carry, how you're going to move goods from here to there, how fast you can fulfill orders, all sorts of channel issues that you have to determine. And then promotion, what amount of advertising are you going to do, what amount of sales promotion or immediate action kind of advertising, what are your PR going to look like, and so forth. So all of those things go into your marketing mix, and those are all big decisions and not easy decisions, and have a lot of effect on how you're going to succeed or not. We also talked a little bit about alliances. You may choose to ally with your people who supply you product. You may choose to have alliances with your channel members, so that the wholesalers or retailers, brokers, transportation firms. All of those people may provide value if you ally with them. You may have joint venture partners or people who are working together with you to produce and or deliver whatever product it is that you're delivering, and you may partner with your consumers, whoever those consumers might be. So lots of ways that you can get value from using alliances. Once you've set up your marketing mix, you've set your goals and objectives, you set up your marketing mix, then you have to do an implementation, and you have to figure out how you're doing. So progress towards goal, you may be looking at sales forecasts, budgets, schedules. Those of you who have had managerial accounting type courses, or the course, the accounting course that is taught in this master's program, know a little bit about budgeting and sales forecasting. Very, very important to a marketing plan. Obviously, we need to know where we're going. We need to know if we're getting there. Are we there yet? And how close are we to being there yet? Very, very important. Obviously, you also have to have schedules for your marketing plan. You can't just say, this is all the things we're going to do. You got to know what happens first, what happens second, what happens third. So project management kinds of things. I'm going to pause right now because the sun just went in, and I think you can't probably see me anymore. Hold on a second. hopefully that's a little bit better. But you're going to make projections, and then you're going to have to compare what's actually happening to your projections. And any plan is never a perfect plan. So when you're doing this, you need to look at your projections, see how you're doing, and then modify your plan to make sure that what you're doing is working. And if it's not working, then you have to make modifications. Final piece of any marketing plan is the after-sale service. So what kind of customer service are we going to provide? Really important in every aspect, whether it's business to business or business to consumer, after-sale service is key. It's how you build loyalty. It's how you build brand. It is the key to successful long-term successful marketing. So you can have short-term successful marketing without customer service, but long-term, you have to have that customer service, reinforce perceptions that consumers have, differentiate yourself from your competitors, and poor service is a killer. One of the best examples of poor service, large company poor service in the recent past, Dell Computer basically figured out how to deliver computers very quickly and very efficiently, good computers very quickly and very efficiently, and grew to be a very, very large company, and then gave most of that up with poor after-sales service. Once you've had a computer that has a problem and you can't get customer service to respond, you probably don't buy that computer again. And Dell suffered from that dramatically, especially in the consumer market, not so much in the business market. Their service was better in the corporate or business market, but in the consumer market, they just cut costs in service and paid the price long term. So customer service is a huge part of any marketing plan. So whenever you're creating a marketing plan, first of all, you have to know that change is going to happen. It always happens. The world is not a static place. So when you're making your plan, you have to know that you have to be nimble. You have to be able to change as the markets change. Relationships are very, very key, whether they're supplier relationships, consumer relationships, or channel relationships. A key to success is to having positive relationships. You need to involve everyone in your organization to buy into whatever marketing plan you're creating. If you create it in a vacuum, you're not going to get support internally to implement, so you have to do that. Alliances are very powerful, and if the interests of the two parties are in congruence, alliances can really, really boost your success rate. So figuring out strategic alliances and why they're important can be really important. And then innovation, figuring out new ways to do things, whether it's a new product or a new way to deliver the product or a new way to service the product or any of those things. If you can find innovation that adds value, you're going to be successful. So that wraps up part 2 of chapter 1. This needs to be finished by Saturday night, and I'll post and open up week 2, the week 2 module on Sunday. And I look forward to talking to you at that point. Thank you.